I'm waiting for it to say it started. I'm live. Merry Christmas. You've heard of Elf on a Shelf, but I present to you a wizard on a lizard. Okay, take your screen capture. Okay. Merry Christmas, everyone. I'm not in a costume. I'm actually just back from my morning walk. It's very chilly, very nippy, but I think it's probably more pleasant here than it is in many other parts of the country and around the world today. It feels sort of weird to be wishing everybody a Merry Christmas, and it's good to be merry. Uh, but we all have to admit that there are some terrible things going on in the world today, but there always is. Uh, I was. You might think that I'm full of paradoxes, that my life, my attitude, my philosophy, my religion is somewhat paradoxical. My family was just white bread Protestant Christian. Okay, we were Methodists. Okay, officially Methodists, uh, but there was no discussion really of what doctrines of anybody's denomination was, except that we knew we weren't Roman Catholic because uh, they did spooky stuff, and uh, it seemed like their ceremonies were just god awful beautiful uh, compared to the tame sort of meeting uh, preacher sermon kind of thing that Protestants are used to. But even as a child, okay, uh, I could not accept the reality of the gods of Christianity. I say gods because there's a confusing thing about the Son and then the Holy Spirit that nobody could properly ever explain uh, to me, especially a child. I couldn't believe it. Okay, I believed in a lot of fanciful things, and I dreamed and I fantasized and stuff. I was capable of uh, great flights of fancy and I really recognize something beautiful and wonderful and universal and spiritual uh, in those uh, Greek gods that I saw in Disney's Fantasia. Okay, and I didn't believe in them like I was uh, encouraged or demanded to believe in the objective reality of the gods of Christianity. Uh, but to me, they were much more alive and much more spiritual and had more to offer within my own spiritual resonances. Uh, so I didn't believe in the gods of Christianity, and it's not because uh, I didn't attend church and Sunday school regularly. I did. Okay, it was not. I was forced to, but I didn't. I wasn't unwilling. Okay, I went because at least it got me out of the house. And it wasn't because I didn't sing, first of all, in the child's carol choir at the early morning services and go to rehearsals and learn all the hymns. And at Christmas time, especially, we learned the Christmas carols. I loved them. Okay, especially the ones that were in a minor key. Oh, sisters, do how may we do? And we three kingdom variant. I love those Middle Eastern sounding Christmas carols. Uh, I wasn't an unbeliever because I did all those things and was rebelling against it. I was an unbeliever because I did do all those things. I was exposed to all those things. That's why I was an unbeliever. I tell the story in My Life with the Spirits about how having to go through the torturous, sweltering hell of summer Bible school, I finally got confirmed in the church and was given a Bible, and I had to go up in front of the congregation and literally lie. Lonnie, do you believe in Jesus? They go, yes, you know. Uh, but throughout all of that, I loved Christmas. I didn't. I was freaked at the Jesus that somehow committed suicide. Uh, I was freaked at the bloody, tortured Jesus of Easter and Good Friday. I was freaked at the thought of a bodily ascension, and I was freaked at the fact that if you didn't believe in this bloodied hole in the hands uh, uh, ghost goblin, if I didn't believe in the objective reality of it, that I was going to go to just a terrible, eternal, unpleasant, nightmarish place. But I love the baby Jesus. There's a wonderful, absurd movie, Talladega Nights or something, about stock car races and the the character he would always pray to the baby Jesus. Baby Jesus, thank you for this food, you know. Uh, well, I could do that too. If Jesus has any meaning for me, deep down inside, I knew it was the baby. It was the baby Jesus. And that is the perfect description of the natural impulse toward religious expression in the aeon of Horus, the child. The aeon of Osiris before this is the bloody Jesus on the cross and the terror of the duality of having to believe in one absurdity to avoid the catastrophe of another absurdity. I loved the child, and now God is the child. And when it's not the catastrophe of birth and death and resurrection. It's the mystery of birth and continual growth, because that's all a child has to do is just grow. That's the formula. Not a formula of death, okay? Not a formula even of nourishment like in the age of Isis. It's just growth. What could be more freaking wholesome than that? Of course, we can say, oh, freaks us out. Horus is the avenger and shit. Well, all of those mechanisms are still in place. It doesn't matter. That's why everybody seems to love Christian. Hindus love Christmas. Buddhists love Christmas. Uh, Japanese people love Christmas. Uh, Christmas transcends Christianity. And I love Christmas. And it's a shame that since the pandemic we haven't been able to get decorate and get into the Christmas drag and our yearly Christmas New Year's party and things like that. But I guess that's beside the point. I love Christmas because it's all about the child. As a matter of fact, those are the first indications when Aleister Crowley and Rose, of course, being pregnant in a hotel room in Cairo, Egypt, in late March of 1904, when she first fell into her trance. The first thing she said was, "It's all about the child." Now, the child Horus is, of course, we can all jump into our left hemispheres and say, "Oh, I can easily see the Christian myth being no retelling of the Osirian myth." That Christmas carol I was singing, "Oh, sisters, do how many." Okay, that's Mary and Elizabeth, John the Baptist. They were sisters, Isis and Nephthys. Okay, it's over. But I want us all to think about that. And if you are a militant non-Christian, like in many respects, I'm a militant non-evangelical Christian for sure. Think about what it is that does pull the trigger in you. And I bet for many of us, Christmas still pulls that trigger. The magic of Christmas still pulls that trigger. When Constance and I do our Gnostic Mass seminar, we talk about these 3 steps of worship, or the steps leading up to the worship of the formula of the child. And I'd like to leave those few words with you this morning, so you can get on with opening your presents. During the Mass, the altar, the high altar, is on the top of a dais of 3 steps. It's the same 3 steps you see in most sort of standard church settings. Roman Catholic Church has a dais of 3 steps in the altar, just like that. And the priest and the priestess exchange dialogue with each other. That take place when the priest takes the first step and the second step, and then finally the third, where the big magic of the Mass takes place, in the consecration. The mystic marriage takes place. The first step represents the age of Isis, the age of the goddess, and it's on the first step that the goddess is worshipped. Here the priestess is identified as the goddess Nuit. It is on the first step that the priest sings, "O Nuit, continuous one of heaven, Let it be ever thus, that men speak not of thee as one, but as none. And let them speak not of thee at all, since thou art continuous. And it's while standing on the first step that he hears the priestess deliver her beautiful, "But to love me is better than all things. If under the night stars in the desert thou presently burnest mine incense before me, invoking me with a pure heart." And that ends up with "to me, to me." It's just awesome. Okay. Now, as worshipers, we could stay on the first step, worshiping the goddess and adhering to her formula forever. Indeed, many people do just that. But we, the children of the Aeon of Horus, adore the goddess not as an end, but as a means. We linger on the first step only long enough to activate the formula of the goddess within ourselves, to prepare for a wedding. Only long enough to allow ourselves to be aroused by the essence of her divinity before stepping up to the next level of worship. The second step represents the Aeon of Osiris, the age of the dying god. And it's on the second step that the priest is identified as the god Hadit, the inscrutable lover at the very center of the infinite body of Nuit. I am the flame that burns in every heart of man and in the core of every star. I am life and the giver of life. Yet therefore is the knowledge of me the knowledge of death. I am the flame that burns in every man and the core of every star. And reminiscent of Osiris, Krishna, Christ, and every other dying god, he goes on to say, I am life and the giver of life, yet therefore is the knowledge of me, the knowledge of death. Now, as worshipers, we could stay on the second step, worshiping the dying god and adhering to his formula forever. Indeed, many people do just that. But we, the children of the Aeon of Horus, adore the dying god not as an end, but as a means. We linger on the second step only long enough to activate the formula of the dying god within ourselves, only long enough to snatch the vibrating pulse of life and death from the patriarchal Lord in order to prepare for a wedding that we will celebrate on the third and final step. It's upon the third step that we achieve synthesis. It's upon the third step the mystic marriage will be consummated. It's upon the third step that the true object of worship will appear, Rahur Kuit, the crowned and conquering child of their union, the child of the goddess and the god of the last two aeons. We give thanks and respect to the goddess and the priestess who embodies her. But at the end of the Mass, it's not she whom we worship, it's not she whom we adore, it's not she whom we commune. And we give thanks and respect to the God and priest who embodies him. But at the end of the Mass, it's not he whom we worship, it's not he whom we adore, it's not he with whom we communicate. As we'll soon see, the Gnostic Mass is an enactment of a great and wonderful magical secret. The goal of this secret is the creation of a child. It's all about the child. Whether that child is the material or emotional object of your heart's desire, or the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel. It's true, without the goddess and the god, the child could not be born. But those who would treat the Gnostic Mass as a ceremony of goddess worship are missing the point entirely. With all the other worshippers of the Aeon of Isis, they cannot rise above that first step of worship. Those who would relegate the Gnostic Mass to a ceremony of phallus worship, which is pretty easy to fall into that assumption. Those who would relegate the Gnostic Mass to a ceremony of phallus worship are also missing the point entirely. Like worshippers of the Aeon of Osiris, they cannot rise above the second step of worship. At the end of the ceremony, each of us should be standing spiritually upon the third step of worship. Our attention focused with full concentration, not upon the priestess, not upon the priest, but upon the child. The child as embodied in the host and wine. Only those who have achieved, then transcended the arousal of the goddess, only those who have achieved, then transcended the concentrated potency of the god, only those who have annihilated both God and goddess in ecstasy can stand on the third spiritual step and consume and then become the child of their union. It's all about the child. Only those who have taken the third spiritual step are worthy to be called worshippers of the Aeon of Horus, because it's all about the child. Merry Christmas. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.